We begin tonight with George Will, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist for the Washington Post, NewsNation's senior political contributor. Good to see you, sir, as always. Thank you. My favorite part of any of these stories is the one-upsmanship on how crazy we can get. Senator John Cornyn of Texas is pressing the FBI to intervene to help the GOP bring back the state House Democrats after they left on Sunday. In a representative democracy, he says, we resolve our differences by debating and voting, not by running away.
Well, we run periodically. You may recall that when Scott Walker became elected governor of Wisconsin and then tried to implement the policies he ran on, the Democratic legislatures flew off to Illinois. That's a favorite.
Why is Illinois the favorite place?
It's a sanctuary city for unhappy Democrats. I don't know.
There's no one to challenge them in Illinois, after all. It is a Democratic-run city and a Democratic-run state. Is there an irony, though, that Democrats are running to the state that has the most aggressive redistricting, perhaps, of any state in the country?
Well, where else are they going to go? Almost any state they go to, New Jersey would do the same. California's the same. Does Texas have the power to do what it's doing? Yes. Should it be doing it? Of course not. It's just another step toward the banana republicization of the United States. This, if you don't like the competition, change the rules in the middle of the competition.
Is it that? I think what's interesting is that people keep saying, you know, oh, do unto others as others have done unto you, effectively, right? But this is just sort of another ratchet, right? It's not do unto others what they've done unto you. It's do a little bit more to others than what has been done unto you. So if there's going to be aggressive Democratic redistricting every 10 years, then the Republicans say, well, we'll do it in 5.
Congress can stop this, or it could if it were a functioning body nowadays. Article 1, Section 4 says, the state shall determine time, place, and manner of elections, but Congress can write laws to override what the state legislatures do. The idea of mid-decade redistricting, ignoring the previous census and not waiting for the next census, is just bad manners. Now, manners matter. This is what you get when you have no manners regulating political discourse. You get a recourse to laws and to the FBI and Lord knows what's next.
I'm going to play for you. Speaking of manners, sort of this brings out the worst in everyone. Here is Jolanda Jones, Texas State Representative in Illinois right now, and Charlie Kirk. Take a listen.
He's a pedophile. He liked little girls. In fact, he liked his daughter. He talked about sexual stuff with his daughter. Who does that, right? And how the hell he get to be president?
The great replacement of white people is far more sinister than any redistricting project. That is at the core of the Democrat project, at the core. And Jasmine Crockett is just some circus act in that entire operation.
Okay, you put both of those together, and to me, if this continues on the path we are on, that is the future of the Democratic Party and that is the future of the Republican Party, because if all we have now is primary elections for congressional seats, it is the most extreme that wins.
And what happens is you have an enormous, recurring, comprehensive failure of the political market. There's a huge demand out there. It's called the center of the politics. It's an old saying, Leland, I'm sure you know it, that politics, when it's healthy, takes place within the 40-yard lines, not towards the end zones. Someone is going to come along, the market is going to speak, the political market. Someone's going to come along and say, enough of this nonsense. And I think there'll be a conflagration of support for such a person. Because
how would they ever win a primary in either party?
Well, we have open primaries, which helps. And that is where you don't need to be a registered member of the particular party to vote in it when selecting the nominees. I'm not in despair yet that, in fact, we've closed off our parties to change. But what we just saw, I mean, Kirk talking about the replacement of white people, this is sinister, really ugly stuff. And I think it makes most normal Americans uneasy and disgusted. But, of course, the problem is normal Americans don't listen to Mr. Kirk. It's only
or Jasmine Crockett. They have other things to do with their lives.
They're washing the car and raising children and going to work. But we have this ferocious wingery out there, the left wing and the right wing. and they're going to overplay their hand. I just believe it. I just think the market will work eventually.
Eric Holder has embraced this partisan gerrymandering, at least on a temporary basis. Former Attorney General Barack Obama's wingman, who engaged in some of this sort of strong-arm Democratic politics when he was there. It's like the Germans have invaded France. Are you going to just say, well, we're against war and we're for the resolution of disputes in a peaceful way? Sometimes you have to take up arms. What is maddening to me is that the media at all, but a large part of the establishment corporate media, gives Democrats a complete pass on this and makes it sound as if gerrymandering congressional districts is something that Republicans just thought of in Texas a couple of days ago.
People always say we're against partisan gerrymandering. All gerrymandering is partisan. And the Supreme Court looked at this and said it's not justiciable. That is, we can't come up with neutral principles here. The parties are going to do this. Let's leave us out of this, which means I come back to manners, to basic civility, to seemliness. When you can't rely on seemliness to regulate human behavior, you get laws. Is that
where the Constitution, I hate to say this because, you know, everyone comes back, oh, we need a constitutional amendment to solve some problem. I don't think the founders ever envisioned something like what we have going on.
No, they did not. Although, in the 1790s, when we began the 1790s with no party system. We ended the 1790s with a party system. And we were learning the ethics of competition. The Adams administration passed the Alien and Sedition Acts, and people were thrown into jail for their beliefs. The scabrous rhetoric in the 1790s was awful. So we've been here before. But we didn't have gerrymandering for 12 years later, when Eldridge Gerry of Massachusetts gave the name to this because the gerrymander was a district so shaped that it looked like a salamander.
Well, we have those now all over the country.
Exactly.
And you said the maps were used in Massachusetts. But you seem optimistic that somehow someone's going to come along and there's going to be some unifying figure. The flip side of that, though, is that nobody comes along and we effectively end up with red and blue, the most extreme sides, and what? Just every 4 years we elect a president who that person's party, if brought into power, makes them de facto king or queen.
Looking on the bright side, which I am temperamentally disinclined to do, I do in this case because, again, I believe markets work. We have an open political system. We've got a large number of voters whose preferences are not being catered to. And I think that someone's going to come along, and one of these two parties is going to wake up and say, look at this unserved market out there. Someone's going to do it.
Well, as usual, we hope you're right.
I hope so, too.
Good to see you, sir.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.